Genshin Impact version 1.5 is finally here, and aside from the Zhongli banner rerun, a new 4-star Pyro Catalyst unit has been added to the pool of characters, and her kit is very interesting that many people are pulling with the hopes of getting her instead. In this video, I'll be talking about Yanfei, her kit, ideal weapon and artifact sets, and compatible team setup in order to build her as your main DPS unit. Story-wise, Yanfei is well known for being one of Liyue's top legal advisors. She always strives hard to obtain the most benefits for her clients. She's a half adeptus just like Ganyu, and uses her legal expertise in the pursuit of her ideal concept of happiness. Even before the official announcement, many players were already saving up Primogems to try their luck on getting her. She looks smart and reliable, and her skills make her a viable Pyro DPS, and even rival 5-star units. Let's take a deeper look at the possible builds that we can follow for F2P and whales alike. Yanfei's kit makes her fitting as a DPS and may not perform well as a support role, except when you have a swirl team using Venti or Sucrose. That's because her damage output is built around her charge attack, having the seal mechanic which boosts her charge attack damage when unleashed, kinda like Ningguang's kit. Both her elemental skill and bursts are made to give her easier access to seals, so she can destroy enemies with her huge stamp of disapproval in no time. With that in mind, you will be able to utilize her full potential quite easily if you build her as your main Pyro DPS. You still do not have one. The best weapon for Yanfei is the Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds. It is a 5-star catalyst with crit rate as a substat, giving more room to go for critical damage on your artifacts. It also provides a 10% movement boost and a stackable elemental damage buff every 4 seconds at a maximum of 4. If you do not have the Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds, the other great 5-star catalyst for her is the Skyward Atlas. It offers an elemental damage buff and an additional source of damage that lasts for 15 seconds, which is good as long as you can squeeze in some critical rate and critical damage on your artifacts. If you don't have a 5-star catalyst, try using these two 4-star catalysts instead, the Solar Pearl and the Eye of Perception. The Solar Pearl buffs your elemental skill or burst by 20% after using your normal attack, and using your elemental skill or burst will also increase your normal attack's damage by 20%. This effect provides a constant damage boost for your Yanfei throughout the fight. The Eye of Perception, on the other hand, provides an additional source of damage that occurs once every 9 seconds and can bounce between monsters 4 times. Aside from these essential passives, your preference of what weapon to give Yanfei also depends on whether you need more crit damage or crit rate. For her overall stats, you'll have to prioritize getting at least 50% crit rate and ideally 150% crit damage minimum for her build to work. Her Ascension stat bonus is Pyro damage, which is already great as is, but to improve elemental reaction damage, squeezing in some elemental mastery is key. When it comes to artifacts, there are 3 good sets for DPS. They are the Wanderer's Troop, Lava Walker, and the Crimson Witch of Flames set. Crimson Witch of Flames is by far the best artifact set for Yanfei, as it provides a bonus to all your pyro damage sources and significantly increases your elemental reaction damage even when you got subpar stats for the set. If you don't have a complete Crimson Witch of Flames with good stats, then try going for the Wanderer's Troop. Wanderer's Troop is good as it provides an additional 80 elemental mastery for its 2-piece bonus. Completing the artifact set will significantly increase your charge attack damage. The third set, Lava Walker, is not that great compared to the first two if you rely on elemental reactions. However, if you don't want to switch characters too often and would just want Yanfei to be on the field most of the time, then this set might be the best option for you since it gives a constant 35% damage boost against enemies affected by Pyro. The Lava Walker set is best if you are pairing Yanfei with Geo or Anemo units. I wouldn't recommend mixing 2 sets since the bonuses you'll get aren't that niche for her build. For your character lineup, triggering Melt for most of the time while Yanfei is on the field is one of the best setups for her, which means you will need at least 1 Cryo unit and if possible another Hydro support to have at least 50% upkeep of your Freeze elemental reaction for Yanfei to trigger Melt. I wouldn't really consider pairing her with electro supports like Fischl since the overload effect will knock back enemies too far, which is pretty inconvenient for Yanfei unless you have a CC unit like Venti. Xingqiu is probably the best support to pair with Yanfei as both his elemental skill and burst apply vaporize to enemies even when Yanfei is just doing normal attacks. Diona is also a top tier support for Yanfei, as she also provides shield and healing, not mentioning that the C6 Diona will grant an insane elemental mastery boost of 200 while party members are inside her burst AoE. I'm choosing Bennett as my 4th party member for the Team Comp's elemental resonance, granting a 25% attack increase excluding his burst attack buff. If you have Zhongli on your team, then you can swap Diona with him, since he is a great shielder support which improves your Yanfei's survivability. Zhongli's Jade Shield also decreases enemies' resistance by 20%. When building Yanfei, I recommend getting her to C1 as it reduces the stamina cost of his charge attack by 10% per Scarlet Seal and increases her resistance to interruption during its release. Talking about shields, Yanfei's 4th Constellation activates her own shield mechanic at 45% for own max HP with bonus pyro absorption. If you have at least a C4 Yanfei, you can do away with shielders and focus on getting sub DPS units like Ganyu. But if your Yanfei is still kinda squishy even with C4, then better keep your shielder support. Yanfei's potential is greatly showcased when facing Cryo and Hydra units, making her a very strong DPS for domains like Peak of Windagnir and Domain of Mastery Frosted Altar. She also sweeps boss enemies like Cryo Regisvine, Cryo Hypostasis, Oceanid, and Lupus Boreas among many others. If you want to burn your enemies away with such explosive display, you can never go wrong with a Yanfei DPS build. If you like this guide, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in my next video.
Time for your arraignment! Anyway, my point is, you can always rely on me.